Hi. Um, Hello. I'm here. Hi. Um, I'm Bubbles, and you know, yeah, I will say it's kind of heavy for a first video, but you know, I don't imagine a lot of people will see this anyways. This is kind of just me getting it out, and just, talking all my problems away. But yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, I'm kind of just using this as a kind of yap. I can yap about whatever I want. Okay, so obviously you've seen the title, and I think, I'll just put a warning, if you could be triggered by things of this nature, like I mean it's pretty heavy topic, I'm not there's no, hate. It's a pretty heavy thing, Being beaten by a partner is very, it's not a normal it shouldn't be a normal thing, I think, you know what I'm saying, okay? So, just trigger warning. You can click off. There's no shame in it, you know? All right, good, good, awesome. Well, okay, actually, I do want to say that, you know, I'm not going to be naming any names or specific people, because the person who did this to me, she knows, okay? She knows who she is. She's going to have to deal with it for the rest of her life, but so will I. So let's talk. Okay, so I mean, I guess I should give a little context, right? A little overview of the situation as to how it all happened, right? So basically, imagine this. My partner and me, you know, last summer, is it last summer? Last summer, she got to go on like a once in a lifetime, trip. Out of the country for like 2 months, like 2 whole months, right? So she's gone for 2 whole months, and we do long distance, right? And there's a huge time difference. So the whole summer, I'm kind of just, the huge time difference. I'm ruining my sleep schedule, so I can, keep talking to her, because ooh, I'm in love. But yeah, normal. It's a once in a lifetime trip. Why wouldn't I support that? Like long distance all the way. I'll do that. It's only 2 months. What's the worst that could happen? Then a week before she gets back from her trip, she breaks up with me over text. So, you know, that's that's awesome. I do want to say, this is obviously from my perspective. So there is some bias, I'm sure. I'm sure she's got her reasons for why she did what she did, right? That was fine. I totally respected it. It was all good. But big caveat, is that the right word? We wanted to try to be friends. And I don't know if any of you have tried to any it doesn't work super amazing. I you know, I don't it's not amazing. It doesn't always go that well, but I do think it does happen and does work sometimes. So we were trying that. And it's fine, it's whatever. Now you cut to like a week or two after she's been home from her trip. We've been broken up for like 2 to 3 weeks by now at this point, I think. I don't know, it gets a little blurry, I won't lie, because you'll see why. Um, but enter a new girl, you know, me as a single person. I'm feeling sad and lonely. So I start flirting with this girl, you know? I start getting closer with this girl, you know, a normal thing single people do, I would say, I think. I I'm pretty sure single people do that pretty normally, but, okay, then, my ex, we're still trying to be friends, obviously, of course, right? It's kinda weird, but it's okay, we're texting each other here and there, whatever. Um, we decided we should go watch a movie as friends because we both wanted to see this movie, and I made sure strictly that it was as friends, right? I was respecting that because she kinda friend zoned me, but, she had her reasons, right? And she said we would be better off as friends. I was like, "Okay, well, I'll do that," right? So I made sure we were going to this movie as friends. Now looking back, I think she was just confused or, whatever it was, but she still had feelings for me. And I I don't know, I should have just avoided it or should have known, right? But I didn't. So I went completely in as friends, right? That is what we agreed on. But it you'll see where it goes. So, we go to the movie, I pay for everything, but she drives us there. And, you know, as we're driving there, I let it slip that there's this other girl. And I figure that'd be a normal, like, obviously I shouldn't do that, right? But I figure that'd be a normal friendly, I don't know, it just happened. It just happened, and that's a mistake I made. But you can see where this is heading. She immediately, her mood flipped, like just a switch flipped instantly. And, it was whatever. I'm just like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But, I'd figure she'd be normal about it. I don't know. I mean, she broke up with me, right? She friend zoned me. Whatever, So we were watching the movie for like 20, 30 minutes. And then she gets up and walks out with all her stuff. And, dude, the whole time we were watching the movie, she was on her phone. She wasn't even watching the movie, right? And I was like, that's kind of weird. But maybe, I don't know, it's whatever. I wasn't going to do nothing or say anything. But then she gets up and leaves. And I'm like, what the heck? So I pull out my phone and she's texting me that I need to go out to her car and she's going to drive me home. And how I'm horrible. And, stuff like that. And, okay, this is where it's about to get extra warning here, right? In case you don't want, the specifics of what happened after this, you can skip to this timestamp, that's what the word is. You can skip to this and you'll be safe. There's no shame in it, it kind of gets heavy and, yeah. Okay. So I get out to the car and she starts screaming and crying at me, but it's just that, right? But then she starts driving, and we get onto the interstate, and as she's, like, screaming and crying at me, about how horrible I am for, I don't know, doing what single people do. I mean, I think back, and I don't think I was ready at the time to move on from that. It'd been, like, 2 weeks, right? But, you know, people that's a normal single thing to do, I think. I don't think what I did warranted this reaction, and she yeah, as we're driving on the interstate, she starts just hitting me and beating me and screaming and crying, and, she breaks her Bluetooth speaker on my head, she bruises my face, breaks my glasses. She hits me with a gift that I had bought her previous to our breakup, like, while she was gone, but I was like, "Well, I don't want the book." So I gave it to her, right? You know? She hits me with the book that I bought her, and, you know, I had to just sit there and take it because we're in a fast-moving vehicle on the interstate, you know? Like, and I now again, I don't want to, like, demonize her and be like, "Oh," you know? But if you think about it, and I kinda have to joke to cope, right? But if you think about it, it's kind of a perfect plan if you wanted to do something that she's doing to me, right? Because she's just wailing and driving and swerving around, you know, like a crazy driver on the interstate. And I can't do anything because if I retaliate or like, if I do anything, you know, that might distract her more, distract her driving more, and she could crash and kill us, or she could crash and kill, you know, a fucking a family driving, you know, on the interstate or, you know, whatever, right? So it's like I have to just sit there and take it. And it it sucked, you know. It's like ultimate top 10 anime betrayal, right? Because like going from I mean, she was the person like you know, I don't want to be like, "Oh, I thought she was the one," but I did. You know, like that's how it is. You're young and the relationship is just going like she was my first love for sure. And it sucks, you know, to go from how close we were to then her hitting me and stuff, you know, that stuff, that type of thing, right? And, you know, she did this. Now, it, the reason I phrase that is beating me, which I think I kind of get the freedom to name it how I want to, but I mean, she kept hitting me with anything she could get for like at least 10 to 20 minutes as we were driving home on the interstate. And then at one point, I get her to pull off to the side of the road, and she hits me a little bit more, and then it kind of clocks in her head, and she just like starts bawling and like slamming on the steering wheel. And like, oh, it's just such like I can remember it so vividly, and you know, it's just crazy. Like, I don't, you know, but you know, thank God we survived. You know, we survived. We didn't crash. You know, I just had my face was bruised, my glasses were broken, and mentally very changed. But we survived, so that's good. Yay. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's kind of blurry, but also at the same time it's very vivid. I, like the whole time in the car is very vivid, but the timing of it was just I don't know. I don't obviously from my standpoint it's a bit biased. I feel like I probably maybe demonize her a bit more. Or, you know, I'm sure I made plenty of mistakes, and I understand why she was upset at me moving on, right? Especially knowing now that she still had feelings for me. But also, at the same time, she had broken up with me, and it had been at least a week or two, which I think is still pretty crazy for me to be moving on like that, right? And I didn't actually move on. Like, you know, it was just a little thing, a little flirt, you know, whatever. And yeah. So, okay. We're done with the specifics. We're safe now. Now I want to talk about the aftermath, you know, of it all. That's the whole main point of this video. I kind of yapped there, but I think context is important. But also, it's just I haven't told many people everything that happened with that, you know? So, yeah. But I mean, obviously, it's very much affected me. I know. I mean, if it'd be insane to say it hasn't, obviously, I think it would affect anyone. And I, you know, it's really tanked my self-worth. Um, you know, you get to the point where it's like my immediate reaction is oh my god, like what did I do? Like how am I so horrible that my partner started hitting me? Like it's all my fault, right? Like I don't know what I did to deserve this, but I deserve this. And I was really in that cycle for so long of like, oh, I deserve this. I deserved it, you know? And that's why I got back with her for like almost an extra year after that because I couldn't imagine that I deserved better, right? And it was like, oh, she still wanted to be with me after I did this thing to her that prompted this reaction. So it must have been such a horrible thing I'd done, right? And I would like actually I'd puke at the thought of like what I did to her when it's like that's a normal single people talk to other single people. You know, I don't think that's crazy. I don't it should not it, I mean you can't protect not protect, what's the word? I don't know. You can't say hitting your partner ever is okay. I mean, I guess at that time we weren't partners, but that's, you know, you can't ever say that's okay, right? But like I don't know. I literally we were broke, you know, we were broken up. It's crazy. But, you know, I think it really took a toll on me and it still does. And I don't know if I'll ever be over that fully, you know? I mean, I think obviously now I'm at the point where I can make jokes about it, right? I can cope about it, but when I talk about it, you know, I still get kind of emotional and I mean, I still every time I drive on the interstate, you know, I think back to that day and I see the moments again, you know, the feelings I felt, you know, and I still have nightmares about it. Um, you know, every time I see the book series of the book I bought her, I think about it or you know, and I've still had broken glasses for like a year. I mean, it's been a bit over a year now, huh? But yeah, I mean, it's like it's really affected me, obviously. And it's really affected how I even just interact with anyone, how I trust people or relationships or, you know, anything. And I don't know, it's so like it's crazy to me how much such a little thing like that, right? Like such a little moment that was like one day can like it's affected me so heavily and insanely, right? And it's been I mean, it's been over a year and I don't like I say I'm over it, right? And I think I am over it for the most part, right? I think now I kind of I've gotten to the stages now where I have just like a kind of a hatred and I don't want a hatred. Like and I think I'm totally it's totally within my rights to feel hate and be like, ugh, like, come on, like, why did you do that to me, right? Like, w- why, you know? But I also think that's holding me back still also because I just want to hate. I just want to have anger and issues with her. And we were still, I mean, we dated again for almost another year. I mean, I guess it was more like 9 extra months maybe. I don't know. I don't know the timing of it, but like I I like forced myself to forgive and move on and we got back together. And now that we are apart and I don't want to get back with her at all, which is good thing for me because I was not like that at all, But I I can 100% say I don't want to be back with her. But, it's still very like now I'm hitting those stages where I'm feeling like the hate and the anger at it and like I didn't deserve that where for, a good 8 months I thought, "Oh, I deserve that. I'm a horrible person. I deserve what I got." Where that's not no one deserves that. And it's hard to be, kind to myself about that and be like, I didn't deserve that. But, you know, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird, like you always see. I mean, I don't know. You see people go through that kind of thing, right? And you're like, oh yeah, what the fuck? Like that should not have happened at all. Why the hell would someone hit their partner? But then I went through it. Like you go through it, and you're just like, oh, like what am I supposed to feel? What am I supposed to do with that? Like I don't know. So it was very weird and crazy, and you know, I don't even fully regret. Like I do, but I don't also, you know, getting back with her and trying to forgive and forget. Like if I can forgive and move on from and have a close connection with someone again after they've literally like beaten me, then I'm doing okay, I think. I think I can be proud of myself for doing that and moving on from it, but it'll always be a bit weird, like it'll always be in the back of my mind like I don't know if you can ever make that work. Like actually fully truly confidently, like as a fully healthy relationship, And I don't know. I I struggle every day to trust people and love myself. It's not like it's not like I'm the most it's not like I didn't struggle with that before, right? It's just like that really amplified it. So it was horrible for a while. Um, you know, it's just insane to go from being so close to someone, right? And then them doing something to you that you could never dream of doing to them. Like, I would never in a million years lay my hands on a partner, even someone I care about, right? Like, and for her to be able to just instantly flip a switch and do that. I mean, it shows she's not mentally well, but she's also not who I thought she was. And it also took a long time. That's why I think I got back with her is because it's hard to move on and see that, oh, she's changed into a person I don't recognize. It's not the person I want or was dating, and I kind of desperately clung to her and hoped that she would be what I thought she was when she wasn't. And she will never be that. She's not mentally well. And, you know, I don't know. She's off in college now, surrounding herself with people she used to hate. So I think that's very telling. And I know I'm better off without her, right? But it's still very. It'll always affect me, right? It'll always be a part of me. And I think it's, you know, it's just, it happened, I guess. I don't, it happened. I wanted her to be my person, but that's not the person she is. And I have to move on from that. And I have moved on from that, but I need to move on from the hate as well, the anger that I have been feeling recently. I mean, that's a very heavy topic, right? I think, if nothing else, she's taught me she's helped teach me what I want and what I don't want in a relationship, right? And also how to work on myself and try to be more kind with myself and forgive myself and try to love myself. I mean, it's an everyday struggle. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to talk about how I handle that, how does a person go through that and keep on going? I haven't even had therapy, which I probably could do with if we're being real and honest, but I haven't even, it's just been me sitting and thinking through all of it a lot and being depressed and hating myself and now kind of hating her. And I don't want to hate her. I want to just move on from it all. And that's what I'm working on right now. And I'm a lot closer now, and I think me being able to talk about this, and I just want to get it out there. For anyone, if, I, like, she didn't ever physically abuse me after that, but mentally there was, whether she meant to or not, there was manipulation going on. And I think, if anyone sees this who is in the same situation, has been in, or, is currently in, like, for me, I felt so long like I didn't deserve better. And I didn't, I couldn't get out of it, right? Like, she is what I deserved. I deserved to have my feelings played with, to be physically and mentally hurt over and over. I mean, not, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like, I thought that is what I deserved. And it's not. It's not what anyone deserves. And, I also think you, you can, you're, you are worth so much more than you think. And I've not said that out loud to myself. Or, I can say it to you, right? But it's like, I need to say it to myself too? We all do. Unless you beat your partner. No, I'm kidding, sorry. No, but, I mean, it's all our first time living, right? we're all trying our best, and some of us hurt others. We all hurt people, you know? There's just some lines you don't cross, and I do find myself wishing that, bad things would happen to her. That, she would get what she deserves because of what she's caused me. But I think that's a bad mindset. And I think it'll happen as a result of her own actions. She knows what she did and she can't pretend. We can't pretend that it didn't happen. You know, I think eventually she'll get what she deserves and what she has, what she deserves, whether she deserves the best or the worst, right? Like, I don't even need to concern myself with it anymore. And I finally blocked her on everything, got that clear cut because she was low key stalking me for a bit on all my socials and everything. It was just kind of weird, freaked me out a bit. But yeah, I think, I don't know. And I guess if there's any way you're watching this, you know who you are. I almost name dropped. I think, you know, there will always be a part of me that wishes it turned out better or blames myself for what you did. And that's not how it should be at all. It's not my fault for her actions, right? For your actions. But, I think like, oh my god, what if I just didn't mention that, What if I would just, all the what ifs, but still nothing should ever make you hit me. And, you know, we gotta move on. Gotta keep living. I wish you the best, I hope you never hurt someone again like you hurt me. And yeah, I don't know. A lot of this isn't very fleshed out. I wrote some stuff down, but I've kind of just been spitballing, I've been yapping. Going off the cuff, whatever. I think that is more real and more me. So, I don't know. I already kind of said this, but if you have an issue, you are going through shit like this, or if you're just someone, who wants to hear my story, thank you for listening and watching. And, you are worth so much. Um, we don't deserve bad things. We all deserve the best life we can get. We are all people, we are all human. We all have emotions and our own stories, and I mean, just keep pushing, I guess. I don't know. It's hard. Every day is kind of a struggle, but you know, we gotta keep pushing, keep going. Yay. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. I love you. Bye. That's about it. See ya.